Mauricio to their kids. He was saying he wasn't chetos and that he was like a deadbeat that abandoned them, this and that. And I think after a few months, and she was not letting us play with her daughters anymore, and I think she somehow convinced her daughters that we had something to do with it, or I don't know, because her daughters was up. She was like, do I have baby fever, or do I just want to hold a baby every now and then? Like, know the difference. Don't bring a child into this world if all you want is a baby, like, for real, for real. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. So yeah, once Mauricio started to try to like drive around and see the girls and see if he could catch them alone or whatever, like, that's when Patricia moved, like the next week or something, because at some point, my parents were really close with the landlord. Like, we lived there for 9 years, so they, they were pretty close with the landlord, and one day we just stopped hearing them, and the landlord was like, yeah, they like broke the lease and they just left. Like, they didn't tell me where, like, they didn't say anything, they just left. And so yeah, it was pretty sad. She was like a makeup artist for a living or something, and I think she made decent money, but you know, being a single mom I don't think will ever be too easy. But yeah, that was the very unfortunate story. I'm trying to remember if I left anything else out. Oh yeah, Mauricio married the woman from Mexico, and they're like semi-raising this kid to be a baby the rest of her life. Jeez. And so yeah, it was pretty sad that my sister and I lost our friends so young. And we tried to add them on social media like a few years ago, but they blocked us. But that is pretty much all for that neighborhood gossip video. Like I said, this was years ago. Mauricio, like, he'll hit up my dad every now and then to see if we've reached